If you're finding that you can't access anyone in your breakout rooms, I'll move you into other rooms. Okay, we're gonna be coming back now. Okay, great. Um, so I know that some people are not comfortable in joining the breakout rooms. One of the things that we're trying to do with this is to create that community aspect so people can see one another and really experience being in each other's kind of company when so many of us are isolated. It's totally fine if you don't want to. I'd recommend you can log on through the Facebook live stream then, and we can have people who want to be on the Zoom come in on the Zoom so they can talk to one another. Really quickly, maybe some of you who did get into the breakout rooms can share with us some of what it was that you discussed. Who would like to start before we take a break for Maghrib?
I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. We just discussed that maybe renewing our intention and keep in mind that whatever wudu we are doing is actually for a very special meeting, which is meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that will put more um, meaning into it rather than the ritual wudu that we do every time. So I guess more thoughts into the act, so that it doesn't become just a ritual, but it is actually has a meaning. That's what we discussed.
So, what do you think? Mona is your name.
Yes.
So what do you think makes it hard to maintain that? Like, why do people not already do that?
Because unfortunately, we live in such a quick, fast pace that we are always in a hurry to catch Salat on time, in a hurry to do things after Salat. So it takes away from the meaning of it, because we are just in a hurry to do it. That's my feeling.
Yeah, and so if you're not designing your life, somebody's going to design it for you. And so if it's not a
Absolutely,
priority for
absolutely.
you, then it's not. But you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And so if you have 2 minutes to pray, or you're not like ready to, make your wudu, or already in wudu, or any of these things, it just adds to the anxiety and the rush, right? And then the presence
Absolutely.
and the mindfulness kind of gets left out. What else? What did other people talk about? Thank you, Mona.
Thank you.
Who else would like to share what they discussed in their groups?
Hey, Imam Khalid, this is Yara.
Hey, Yara. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I kind of shared how when we were taught how to make wudu, we never understood like the meaning behind it. So maybe reading more about what it means would enrich our experience like moving forward.
Okay, and why do you think those meanings were not taught to you?
To be completely honest, I think because like adults and parents didn't even know what they meant. Maybe, you know.
Yeah, but you want to think deeply about it, right? Because I have a 4-year-old, I have a 7-year-old. You've met my 4-year-old and 7-year-old. Yara and I, she was part of our group from the Islamic Center, where we took a trip to Jerusalem in January, and my kids were on the trip as well.
Yep.
And now, you having met my 4-year-old Kareem, and seeing like what a nut job Kareem is, mashallah, right? Can you
Yeah.
imagine now, when he is ready to learn the steps of wudu, that he could be given anything other than the steps of wudu as a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, or however, we decide to engage him on that. But the challenge comes in now, where we're given something at a certain point, but as there's maturation in the rest of ourselves, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, there's not deliberate modes of engagement along our own maturation that's happening organically. So, what my 4-year-old is given, when he now understands steps and practice, he's got a little book that says, this is how you make wudu. And it can even get wet in the bathtub and in the water. It's made for 4-year-olds. It's got every body part like really big, and it says wash this and wash this. When you take that experience and now you try to engage it when you're 14 or you're 24 or 34 or 44, and there's not deepening of relationship attached to discussion, perspective, like-minded individuals who know the stress of, how do I make wudu in my corporate office? Or how do I make wudu when I'm in the middle of Times Square? Or how do I make wudu when I'm in a public bathroom and everybody's watching me? How do I do these kinds of things? How do I understand the specifics of some of it, or learn more about it beyond just the steps and mechanics? And there's resources for all of these things, but the ability to grow necessitates understanding most practice that we're given, that we come back to repetitively, usually has deeper meanings and hidden meanings to them that we grow with as we are growing in the rest of our life. And so pick up some
Right.
books on the books of fiqh that talk about, like, why do we make wudu in the ways that we make it to begin with? The verse of purification, that's the evidence of why wudu is done in the way from its obligatory acts. Do we know these things? You can take free courses online. Sheikh Faraz Rabbani has amazing resources that you can access through Seeker's Hub, Seeker's Guidance, that just give you the fundamental knowledge base on all of these different things. And after we pray Maghrib, we're going to look at a little bit of it also, just in terms of the fiqh aspects, but to understand it, that it's not just you read something and it's just what it says is what it is, but how is meaning derived from it? And how do you then draw all of the other chapters that we're bringing in about time management, your schedule? When Imam al-Haddad, rahimahullah, talks about the awrad, the wird, the daily litanies, and says to be mindful of your schedule and what you're putting into it and what you're prioritizing, so that there is room to be able to bring these things into the mix of it. But what we're given at a certain age can't deflect responsibility of what we need to enhance as we come and grow. So the same way, Surah Fatiha, the first chapter of the Quran, we read over and over at least 17 times a day in our 5 daily prayers, and you could do that for decades of your life. When it becomes obligatory on you, some people read it for 80, 90 years, 17 times a day. It's not meant to be mechanical, but you keep finding growth through it. Wudu is something that you do before pretty much most every ritual act. At least once a day, you're going to do it in some capacity. So, all the days that you have lived, if this is something God has brought to you as a spiritual vehicle that you engage in every single day, likely for the most part, of your adult existence, it has to be something that gives you more than just an access point to other things in and of itself. And so Imam al-Haddad, he shows us in even just this text some of what that entails. So when we're looking at what he's saying, that among the divisions of outward cleanliness are those things indicated in the Sharia, such as the removing of excessive hairs and nails, for instance, and dirt. So when the hadith tells us to clip our nails, to remove like armpit hair and pubic hair, it's not saying it only in terms of physical hygiene, but also in terms of spiritual hygiene. Purification from acts which necessitate ritual ablution and impurities. And he goes into some lists just to give understanding of, well, what might some of these things be? The clipping of the mustache and the paring of the fingernails, and then the specificity of it from the sunnah, that it is recommended to start with the right index finger, carry on to the right little finger, then to the left little finger, through to the left thumb, and end with the right thumb. The process in and of itself has to be yielded to on a mechanical level, and the spiritual vehicle that is time tested and done in these distinct ways have to also be yielded to. So where there's a gain even in the aspect of cutting your nails, in doing so in the way that the Prophet ﷺ did it. So starting with the right index finger, going all the way to the right little finger, then going to the left little finger, moving to the left thumb, and then you start back on the right hand and you end with the right thumb. And having mindfulness and consciousness throughout the steps, and saying that the Quran is a source of guidance and the Sunnah is a means through which we elaborate on the lessons that come from the Quran. And so the recommended acts that we can enhance the experience with of the overall outward ritual purification has to be stuff that we engage. But you can't do something if you don't know how to do it. And so what can you do that innately is going to allow for that to just be something that pops into your head, right? So who is going to be able to say that, well, the Prophet ﷺ must have just done it this way? I can just feel that this is how the Sunnah says to do it. And likely that's not going to happen. You can have an innate recognition of a divine being, of God, but the prescriptive mode of engaging in religion, the ritual, the practice, the mechanics, are not something that just come from us feeling it and we know where it comes from, but it comes to us now through these modes of guidance. As for the feet, one begins with the right little toe and ends with the left little toe, in the same order as washing the toes during the ritual ablution. So when you're making wudu, you're supposed to take your finger and put it in between each of your toes, starting from the right small toe, going through to your big toe, and then from the big toe on the left, going to the left little toe. It's not an obligation, but it enhances. It is reprehensible to delay all of these things for more than 40 days, meaning it's makruh, that if you go 40 days without doing some of this, it's considered to be a disliked act. Other things, such as the removal with water of the dirt which accumulates in wrinkles, the mucus in the eyes, the dirt in the nostrils, and the use of the toothpick to remove the remains of food from between the teeth. These are all things that are just taken from the Sunnah. You must clean your mouth with the siwak, and it is better if this be of arak wood. It is strongly recommended before initiating any act of worship. You must also clean your clothes with water whenever they become dirty, in moderation, and without imitating those who live in luxury. Other sunnahs related to cleanliness are the oiling and combing of the beard, cleaning all the hair, using kohol 3 times in each eye, for he used kohol sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this manner every night, using perfume abundantly, for it masks unpleasant odors, whether human or other. This is firmly recommended for the Friday prayer, and may Allah grant us the means and tawfiq to be able to pray the Friday prayer again in Jama'ah soon, and other gatherings of Muslims. The Messenger of God sallallahu alaihi wasallam liked it and used it abundantly. Sometimes the shine of perfume would be seen on the parting of his hair. This he did so that people would imitate him, for his body was naturally fragrant. He was in no need of perfume, and they used to collect his perspiration to perfume themselves with. It is good for men to use perfume which has strong scent but no color, and for women to do the opposite. Allah knows best. But here we have different sunnahs that we're being taught about and instructed on. They go well beyond the mechanics. The adoption of this has to stem from a place of recognizing what I was saying before, that you don't see these things in isolation of each other. But if we were to go all the way back to the very first table of contents that tells us, sorry if this is giving anybody a headache, that we relate chapters to each other. So there's a reason why following the book and the sunnah is chapter 10, and then cleanliness comes after, where it's giving you instance to reflect on how are you making decisions on this, and do you see Islam as an actual philosophy on life, a lifestyle, not just do's and don'ts and rights and wrongs, but it becomes the basis of an ethical framework through which you make your decisions. And then the next chapter goes back to following the sunnah again. But here we see where that relationship comes into play, that these chapters go hand in hand together. We're going to take a quick break for Maghrib. People want to come back. We'll wrap up for like another 20 minutes or so, inshallah, before we end for the night. If you're going to be leaving after Maghrib and not joining us again, it's fine as well. But just a really quick plug, the Islamic Center is doing a fundraising campaign online with Penny Appeal USA and Celebrate Mercy, where alhamdulillah, we've already raised about $250,000, and the money from this is going to individuals who have been financially impacted by the coronavirus. Here in New York, I have people on the street that I'm seeing every day, people emailing me on a regular basis saying, I've lost my job, my restaurant shut down, the store that I work at closed down, and they just cut people. They don't continue to pay them. And people paying rent, people paying their basic utility bills, their internet bills, their phone bills. They don't have money because they're in jobs that you don't get paid if you're not actually working. And so we've already distributed checks to 50 households, alhamdulillah. It's not the entire sum of $250,000 went to 50 different households, but our goal is to raise at least $500,000. If you all can help by taking the link, which is launchgood.com/ICNYU relief. You can also use launchgood.com/corona, CORONA, and just share it with people. If people give $1, $5, $10, $100, it's going to a good place. And we really want to make sure that people are helping one another. If you're on the Facebook live stream, the link is in the caption description of the actual live stream itself. But please do share it. And wherever it goes, will definitely be beneficial for so many people, inshallah, who right now are looking for it. Thank you, Jennifer, for putting it in the chat of the Zoom. If people are on the Facebook live stream and they want to put it up in the chat there as well, that would be great. We're going to stop for Maghrib right now. So if people want to take a break, we'll come back in about at 7:25. We'll resume in 10 minutes at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time after Maghrib. Okay. We'll see everybody in about 10 minutes, inshallah, again. Are people back from Maghrib?
Well, to be honest, Sheikh, we are close to Fajr here in Germany.
Oh,
Very
no
far
way.
to Fajr.
You're all the way in Germany? MashaAllah.
Yes, yes.
How is everyone doing over there?
Alhamdulillah, to be honest, I'm under quarantine at the moment because I met someone who was infected with the virus, so they sent us under quarantine for the next 14 days.
Inshallah khair. Allah yashfik, inshallah.
But I'm not suffering from anything, alhamdulillah. And well, it's fine. So you have more time for your family, more time for many other important things.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Allah make it easy, inshallah, for all of you.
Ameen, ameen, ameen. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you joining so early in the morning. I hope, inshallah, you continue to be with us if you can. We're doing a lot of other halaqas just as people are kind of coming back and we get started again. There's a lot of different halaqas that we're hosting through our Islamic Center that you're all more than welcome to join.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so please feel free, and you can find all the information on that on our website icnyu.org, but also on social media. Everything is there as well, inshallah. So I wanted to take a quick minute just to get people's feedback as we move forward and see what people would be interested in doing when we convene next week. There's a bunch of different things that we can do. We can continue to just move into the next paragraphs, or we can spend some time looking at some of these rituals that Imam al-Haddad is talking about, but in more detail. So, for example, we can talk about wudu, but instead of just going through the steps and mechanics, we can look at the verse that's called the verse of purification that's used as the evidence for wudu, and kind of break it down as to how people look at it very meticulously and why there's different opinions on certain things, right? Because the scholars of the past who were looking at this, they weren't trying to engage in their analysis to be, just unnecessarily meticulous, but within it, they were trying to find as deep and as specific as possible meaning in relation to what Allah meant for it to convey, and where little things then ended up making big difference at the end of the day, right? So when the verse says and mentions face, for example, they really tear down what does face mean and what part of you does it actually entail, when they're not giving it just a literal meaning, but when it says to rise up in the verse, it's giving insight that they're now saying, well, does this mean that every time someone rises up to pray, that every individual prayer necessitates an individual wudu, or can one wudu suffice until something breaks your wudu? Does rising up, if we were to take it in a literal sense, mean that once someone has risen, if they sit back down without like praying or engaging in a ritual attached to that wudu, does like their wudu break and they have to do it again? But they're engaged in like a analysis of it, and we can look at the different hadith. Um, Most of what I've like been taught has been according to the Hanafi school of thought, uh, and we can look at the different parts of wudu, but try to see like the hadith that become the basis for it, and not in a way that it's necessary, because for a lot of people you don't have to know that, right? Islam is for everyone, and fundamentally you just need to know how to do the ritual. You don't need to know where the basis of it comes from. But where there's opportunity for some of us to get a little bit more connected to it and to see, well, why are we doing it in this way? Like, what did the Prophet ﷺ say about these things? So what did people think if in the next session we start to look at wudu more concretely and in depth in terms of its steps, its mechanics, the different evidences and hadith and ayat that are used for the different parts to this? And we'd go from like the obligatory parts to it to the sunnah parts, and different facets and aspects of it. And you can just in the chat box, if you'd like to comment or say if you feel like that's a good idea or not. There's also the option of, I think you can hit like a green, um, button, like a check mark, or I think you can do like a thumbs up or thumbs down if people want. But okay, so people are saying that would be great. Okay, so we'll move into that for the next session where we're talking about it. Um, if you haven't signed up for the Google group for this class, you can, and the other halakas that we do as well. I'm just putting the link to the form in the chat box, um, so that you can sign up for whatever it is. We're going to be adding on a lot more content as well to the like schedule that we have, different programs, different lectures, and things, so that where people are at home, they're isolated, they're quarantined, they're able to have a different cohesion. In this particular one, when we engage in the Zoom aspect, it would be great again if people could use their video feature. If you're not comfortable, it's totally fine. But in the breakout part to it, even if you don't use the video, if you can use the audio so that there is communication and conversation, that would be helpful. There's many people who just, they don't have anybody that they're seeing, right? They live alone, they're not with family, they're not going out, so it becomes helpful to just have discussion and some kind of interaction in some way, inshallah. So we're gonna probably stop here. Next week we'll go into some of the aspects of wudu. I'll start to share some stuff with you on the Google group in terms of like literature, text that you could look at, that goes through some of its fundamental practice and mechanics, as well as, yes, you can, if you're a Swiss student, you definitely can still sign up for anything. And Sheikh Sahib is doing a halaqa for us on Tuesday nights on Usul al-Fiqh, and then every night at 10, our Islamic Center is co-sponsoring a Swiss program where they're doing 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, reflections on the Quran, with different speakers and with Sheikh Sohaib. So that's something that you can look into. If you don't know if you're in the Google group, the link that I posted for the Google Doc, you can go and sign up there and we'll add your emails on. For Swiss, you can sign up. Let me get the link for you really quick. For Swiss, you can, I think, sign up at suhaibweb.com. But maybe Hisham, you can let us know as well since you've signed up for Swiss. So Swiss is Suhaib Web, Sheikh Suhaib Web's institute that he has. The other institute that I was telling you all about that Sheikh Faraz Rabbani has started is called Seeker's Guidance. Wait, maybe let me do this. That'll make more sense. So this is the Seeker's Guidance website. It's just seekersguidance.org, if you can see it here. And it's a really great resource, mashallah, where you can go to the courses tab, and in the course catalog tab, they have different curriculum. But the way that their revenue model exists is that these are courses that are for free, that you can take on various aspects of Islamic sciences, and I definitely recommend doing it. Sheikh Suhaib Web has Swiss, and there's Sheikh Suhaib Web for those who don't know him. And here he's got like different programs that are linked to his Facebook page, the events that are there. So it also tells you what they're doing in terms of classes and things, and kind of just getting through some of the social isolation that's happening right now. So definitely check out Sheikh Sahab's program at Swiss. Check out Sheikh Faraz Rabbani's program at Seeker's Guidance. And these are like courses that you could take, right? They're not one-off lectures or classes. You can join the Quran study tonight. I think it might be, I know last time that they did it, it reached its capacity, but if you go into, today is March 19th, so he's got this Facebook link here, Quran and Community, and it'll give you the details. They're doing it every single night, if you can see. So join the Islamic Center NYU, Center DC. Join us as we reflect. You can register by clicking on the link below, or registering at suhaibweb.com. And the link below is here, I guess. Sorry, my computer is being a little bit slow. Yep. So he's got this Eventbrite link that's on this Facebook page. I'll put the link over here as well for you all. It's it's a free program, and it'd be something good to partake in. Mashallah. Great. Okay. So let's close out here. For the it's not on Crowdcast anymore. Okay. Jazakallah khair, Hisham. For the application itself, you can sign up for everything and then just attend what we do at the Islamic Center. Feel free to sign up for what you're able to come to, and if you have to miss a session, really you can kind of self-select to come to what you're able to. It's not a problem if you miss any of them. We're doing our best to try to record everything that we can. So inshallah, we'll stop here for tonight, and we'll see everybody next Thursday. Try to check out all the different programs that we're doing if you can, inshallah. Inshallah, Allah keeps you all healthy and safe, as well as your loved ones. And next week, we'll be looking at it through the Book of Assistance, but we're going to be, in particular, looking at some different aspects of wudu, ghusl, purification, so that we can kind of deepen in a little bit of our understanding of it, inshallah. Okay. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless you all always. We'll see everyone, inshallah, next week then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.